Hey everybody, Larry here at Cameo Home Inspection Services. Thanks for joining us again. Last week in our episode about attic mold, if you watched that, you would have learned that attic mold primarily is a heat loss issue. Just as a refresher, hot air rises, takes moisture with it, and when it does and it gets to the attic, it gets the underside of the roof sheeting, it condenses, and it grows furry stuff, black discoloration, mold. Okay, we agreed before we're just going to call spade a spade. So it's mold. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the issues that are contributing to this thing happening, and primarily this whole issue of moisture and moisture control. So a lot of times when you're dealing with a mold issue in an attic, the knee-jerk reaction is to say, hey, let's put more vents up into the roof. Let's exhaust that attic a little bit better than before. But let me show you something that will maybe help you understand why that's not always the best way to go. If you look at a typical structure, like I have here on the right, we've got our living area, we have our attic space, we have vents up high, we have vents down low. So as all that hot moist air gets up into the attic and escapes through the top, we have this makeup air that comes in through the bottom and basically keeps the pressures equalized. Nature abhors imbalance. It always seeks to balance things out, be it water pressure, vapor pressure, whatever it may be. So in this kind of a scenario, everything's working out great because the balance is there between the vents in the upper roof and the vents in the lower roof. So, hey, wonderful, all right? But now we decide that we're going to put more vents in the upper roof to compensate for this mold issue that's up in the attic. So now if I add another vent up here, I'm increasing the amount of ventilation out of the upper attic, and guess what? These lower vents in the eaves can't keep up with it. So now what happens is that this attic space becomes negatively pressurized in relation to the house, the living space. And so remember, nature abhors imbalance. It wants to balance things out. So what you actually do now is you start drawing more hot, moist air from the house. That's the way that nature is seeking to balance out this equation. So in essence, when you do this, when you add more vents up high to deal with a attic mold situation, you're actually potentially exacerbating the whole thing. So let's talk a little bit about this whole issue of moisture and humidity. It's a known fact that most of us are going to produce probably 15 to 16 pounds of water per day. That's moisture going through the structure from us, all right? There's a lot of things that can enter in as factors that can change that. Cultural, for example, there's a lot of cultures who use a lot of steam when they cook. That adds to the moisture load. Teenagers, oh dear God, I've had two. I understand about how much moisture they can put into the structure during their 45-minute to 1 hour showers. So there's another factor. But it all even starts down below in the crawl space. If you have a crawl space where there's conditions related to the insulation, maybe it's incomplete, maybe it's damaged, conditions related to the vapor barrier in the crawl space, maybe there's water in the crawl space, maybe there's inadequate ventilation. All these things can change that equation and put more moisture into the structure. Now when you get inside, you start looking at the bath fans, the exhaust fans. Are they working? Are they weak? Are they there at all? Do they vent out of the attic? Are people using them sufficiently? That's a huge issue, particularly like in multifamily structures. You see relative humidity issues all the time. Mold up in the attics, mold everywhere. Well, people aren't using the exhaust fans. They don't leave them on long enough. Sometimes it's a matter of saying, hey, let's move to a higher end unit like a Panasonic. Let's put it on a humidistat so that it's not left to human intervention to remember to turn it on and turn it off at a certain time. So those are factors that can culminate in more moisture load on the structure. Then you get to the attic and you have these issues again where maybe the bath fan duct is not ventilated to the outside. Maybe the soffit vents are blocked. Maybe the insulation is all messed up. There's a whole lot of things that go into this. But the point is that when you have an attic mold situation, again, to reiterate what I said last time, is it a health risk? Are people going to die and this and that? Probably not. I mean, everybody has sensitivities to things, but by and large, it's that huge encumbrance when you go to sell that house. So part of the remediation is treating at the discretion of the expert, but also trying to mitigate all these other factors that are putting more moisture load on the house. And I think that you're going to see over time that this is going to become probably more and more of an issue as we become more stringent with building codes, we tighten up the structures more, the energy codes change, and so on. Then there's another little thing I'm going to throw in there just as a teaser for you, but how many times rooms are getting pressurized when the furnace comes on? I like to go through and I'll take the bedroom doors, I just caulk them a little bit, I'll turn on the furnace, and a lot of times that door you hear it slam closed because it's too close to the carpet. Well, I don't care about the carpet, but what I care about is that I'm pressurizing that room with hot, moist air from the furnace. Now, if that air cannot make it back to the furnace return, I guarantee you it will go somewhere. And if it goes somewhere that's colder, like an attic, you're going to get condensation, you're going to get mold. If any of you have ever seen mushrooms growing out from behind hardy plank siding, we'll talk about that in a future episode, but there's a correlation there. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but mold in the attic, it's a heat loss issue, it's a condensation issue, it's a matter of controlling relative humidity inside the house and dealing with all the factors that are contributing to the high humidity levels. So hopefully that helps. If you have questions, you know how to get a hold of me, 360-459-1632. You can email me, cameohomeinspection@comcast.net. You can message me on Facebook. We're going to get this onto the YouTube channel, so it's there. And if the demand is there, if you all want to hear more about this, I'll get a mold guy into this studio, and we'll do a little Facebook Live, and you can fire off your questions, and we'll try to answer them in real time. So let me know. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there. For my Trekkies, live long and prosper.